Hi guys, and welcome to another Dragonheir Silence God video. Guys, finally the Adret event is here. The Lunar, Halo, Moonlight, whatever event is called. It's finally started. Those world bosses start popping up. I am one day late with this video, but it's difficult to manage functioning in real life with a full-time job and a YouTube channel, but eventually I get there. So today we're gonna break down the event, and I'm going to explain you what you need to do if you want to compete and try to have a chance to get Hardret. She is an amazing champion. We're going to quickly have a look at her skill and break down the event and all the parts of the events that are going to allow you to be in the position to get this champion. I'm going to also break down the minimum number of dice you're going to have to pull depending on where your account is, so you can figure out if you want to pull your dice now, if you want to wait the end of the event and try to compete on the boss challenges and maybe save some dice for future events, because for sure there are going to be more events down the line in Season 2. And so going out and spending all your dice sometimes is not a good idea. So let's start from having a look at Hardret and what she does. So maybe you're gonna figure out if you want to get this champion or not. And she is absolutely amazing. She's a Radiant tank. We have so many Radiant amazing tank, but she has a rather unique skill set. So she has an aura that increased the defense of all allies in all battle by 30%. This is the best defense aura you can get in the game, I believe. Maybe if there are higher defense percentage, they are very specific to certain parts of the game. They might be only dungeon, or they might be only City of Trials. She has a passive that basically after the battle starts, the hero gains 1 stack of blessing every 5 seconds. This buff is permanent and cannot be dispelled, and this is very good because she basically stack up this buff up to 10 times. And when the hero blessing reach the 10 stacked, she basically gonna give that 10 stack of blessing to all the allies. And blessing basically give to the champions, and after 50 seconds to all your champions, a stack of 3% defense up to 10 times, so 30% defense on top of the 30% defense aura, and resistance, 10 resistance per stack. So when she's going to give those 10 stacks to everybody, everybody's going to have 100 more resistance. And this is very good for many dungeons and bosses that are going to come down the line. It's going to be really helpful to reduce the debuff that the bosses are putting on us. On her battle skills, she healed the ally with the lowest percentage of HP by 280% of her defense, and grants defense up to that champion for 5 seconds. When this skill is cast on a target below 50%, the healing will be increased by 30% and reduce the recharge time for that target next battle skills by 50%. Now, this is amazing for Ice Blast, because obviously Ice Blast is all about the battle skills, and she's going to boost that battle skills on your squishy attack champion, and this is going to do much more damage. And the 60% increased defense on a squishy champions is what is going to basically make your team run for longer. On her ultimate, she enhanced the hero for 10 seconds, increasing all allies healing received by 50% in the duration, and increase the hero basic attack, dealing 300 defense radiant damage each time. When enhanced, each of the hero basic attacks grants the ally with the lowest HP 180% defense healing, and has a 100% chance of dispelling 1 debuff from them. So if you time it right, this skill is basically going to be your cleanse for the vortex, and this is going to basically increase the damage that your team does, increase the defense, increase the healing. It's basically going to boost your team so far beyond what it is right now. She's going to be incredible if paired with Garius. Once paired with Garius, and if you have the Gatekeeper staff, Garius is going to have so much defense that his heal is going to be so massive. And with the Gatekeeper staff, it's going to be transferred to shield. Any overhealing is going to be transformed to shield. and your team is going to be so survivable. That is going to be absolutely incredible. I love this champion. I'm really going to push to have her because I think she can boost my Radiance and Ice Blast team beyond what it is now. And I've fully invested in Ice Blast this season, so I'm going to push to get her for sure. So let's go have a look at the event and breaks down what you need to do to get this amazing champion. And if you click over here, you're going to have the Lunar Halo Radiance event, and you're going to see that basically there are 3 categories you're going to have to compete to get those Lunar Halo, and you're going to need 200 Lunar Halo to be able to summon this champion from the event. You're going to be able to get 90 from the Moonlight dungeons, and we're going to break down that in a second. You're going to be able to get 60 from summons, or up to 60 from summons, I should say. And you're going to be able to get up to 90 from the Continental challenges, which are the bosses that pop up on the map every week. So let's start from the Moonlight dungeons, because it's the one of the events that you should do for sure. So those 90 points should be granted. If you're playing the game seriously and quite consistently, you should be able to get this done very quickly. I've done my Moonlight Dungeon 1 on day 1. I'm farming stage 9 on the Grave of Venom. If you haven't seen it yet, there is a video out where I've explained the entire mechanic of the boss, and I'm showing you some comp that you can use to farm this boss very, very quickly. I believe I've ranked second for composition that don't have any legendaries, so they are epics and rare. I can farm this boss very, very quickly with my comp. So if you haven't done it yet, go look at that video and get some insight on what is my strategy for this boss. But nevertheless, every event is going to be basically structured in the same way. You're going to have all the main dungeons on rotation. So you're going to have Grave of Venoms, and then the next one is going to be another grave, and then you're going to have the Goblin probably, I believe, Reticle Ruins, Ancient Battlefield, all of them. If you farm stage 9, you're going to need to do 26 run on each of them to get the maximum reward and get those 10 halos from the top and 5 halo from the middle. 26 runs are honestly not that much. If you save up your bread, you should use just enough to get to that point, and then continue using your energy on the goblins and the domains to be able to build up your teams, because every week we're going to need another team to challenge the bosses. And this brings me to the second part, which are the Continental bosses. As you can see, I'm here where Alton is, and there are 6 bosses popping up on the map every week. They have a weekly reset. You don't have to farm them on the first day. As you can see over here, they're going to last for 5 days and 12 hours. And you should use your time, because you can build your account a lot more during the week. You get all those essence of creations. You can enhance your psyche core, and that will boost your damage. You can work on your gear through those Moonlight Dungeons event. And once you get better gear, better stats for your team, then is when you're gonna be able to do better scores for the champions. Also, all the content creators are going to try to put up guides on this event, and so in the next few days you're going to see guides on each boss popping out, and maybe there is a comp there and a timing that you didn't think, and that might give you the next rewards up. So I will wait at least until the last day or 2 before farming these bosses. Obviously there's going to be a bit of RNG involved, so you might have to run the same boss a couple of times to get the score you want, but nevertheless, don't do it now, wait. And as you click on ranking, you're going to see that basically it's going to be a global ranking. This is going to give you also some rewards. I'm not going to include this one in this count calculation of what is the minimum that you're going to do, because I don't know how competitive you are. But if you're in top 50%, you're going to get an extra halo from the ranking. So that is going to be helping you. Maybe if there is a boss you're particularly struggling, maybe you can skip one boss. But I'm not going to include it in the calculation for now. I'm going to assume that maybe you are not as competitive and your account is not that developed. But if you click on how to obtain, you're going to see the list of the bosses. Halton, Izila, Talwer, Lozenia, Jorn, and Shinacton. And you're going to see that the score that you need to do on each boss every week to get the amount of Halo that you need. So if you do 22 millions, you're going to have 5 Halo from each boss. And on week 1, you're going to be able to fight 3 bosses. On week 2, you're going to be able to fight 4. On week 3, you're going to be able to fight 5. And on week 4, you're going to be able to fight 6 bosses, all 6 of them. You can fight any 3 of this list. It doesn't matter. You can choose where is your account is better and use your better comps to fight those bosses. So focus on that first and then build the rest of the compositions to get to those rewards. Now, it's not going to be so easy to get to 22 million on each of them. Maybe on some of them, you're going to get 11 million. On some other, you're going to only be able to do 7 or 3 millions. I think 3 millions is very, very easy. 7 millions should be achievable for most accounts in Season 2. 11 million should be really the target you should aiming for, at least on each of them. And if you have some good comps, some good champions, and a good development account, you're going to be able to aim for those 22 millions. Honestly, some of the bosses are feeling easier now. Maybe it's because we develop our account better than Season 1. Season 1, it was more of a struggle. But this is the scoring that you can get. So let's break it down and look at the dices as well. Because as you can see, you're going to have to farm 200 halos from the event, 90 from the dungeon that we said should be granted on all of us. And from the Continental challenges, we don't know how many we're going to be able to do. We're going to break it down in a second. And from the summon, if you click on it, it's going to bring you to the Heliolite aggregation. And you can see basically that you can be able to get 10 Halo from 5 dices. You're going to get another 10 at 20. You're going to get 20 when you get a 40. And you're going to get another 20 when you get a 60 dices. Now, 60 dices are quite a lot to collect, in my opinion. Not all the players are going to be able to do that. So I did a brief breakdown on how many points you're going to need to score on the bosses compared to the number of dices that you're going to be able to pull or you're going to need to pull. So I'm going to put it up on the screen and I'm looking on my Excel over here. So it should be visible for you as well. I've done 3 simulations. If you are a spender or you've been very cautious with your dices and you've been able to save up 60 dices and you're going to do all the Moonlight dungeons to get those 90 points, you're only going to need to get around 50 points from the bosses, which make it fairly easy. Because it means that basically you're going to only need to hit 7 millions on each boss every week. And that's the bare minimum you need to do to get this champion from the event. It's fairly easy in my opinion. You're probably gonna do better score on some of the bosses. So that means that on other bosses, you can even get away with less points. But if you do 7 million on each boss, on the 3 boss of the first week, and what's on until you get 3 halos or 7 millions on each boss of the 6 on week 4, and you got 60 dices, you can get the champion. And that's the bare minimum you can do with 60 dices. If instead you have a small amount of dices and you want to try to push the bosses, you need to be aware that the minimum number of dices that you're going to need to pull is 20. You're going to have to pull 20 dices. There is no way around doing that. But if you do so and you get 20 Halo from the dices, 90 from the Moonlight dungeons, then you're going to have to hit 22 millions on each boss every week. And you can't miss any of them because the total is going to basically average out, amount out to 200 Halos. And you're going to be just about right with 20 dices. And all the bosses hit for 22 million. I believe this is a very difficult scenario unless you are, I say again, a spender probably, or very lucky with your pulls, let's put it this way. Because it's very difficult to have an account developed and have all the champions needed to tackle all the bosses at best. So it probably is going to be likely that some of the champions are going to be difficult to figure out, or they are very champion specific. I haven't dived into all the bosses so far. I find Alton quite easy, and there's going to be a guide on them soon. But some of the other bosses seems rather more tricky. And I don't think I'm going to be in this position. I don't think I can pull only 20 dices and get away with it, because the event, it's complicated. Not always I'm going to be able to level all the champions in time to hit this week 3 boss at 22 million, for example. I might have to settle for 11 million on some of them. And if I do so and I put only 20 dices, I'm not going to be able to get Adret. So I am probably more likely to fit in the third scenario, where I have to pull 40 dices, push all dungeons every week, and then I can get away with 70 points total from the bosses, which means that I'm going to have only to hit 22 million on one boss from the first week, or at least 4 times, basically. And then on the rest of the bosses, I can get away with somewhere between the 11 and the 7 millions, depending on how the bosses are hard, mechanics are hard for me, for my account. I just put up some numbers to get to the points, but obviously you can redistribute those numbers differently depending on what is your account capable of doing. Now, for me, this means that I have, of course, to pull 40 dices. If I was in your shoes, I will wait. I will not pull the dices now, because I will try to figure out first how much damage I can do with the bosses. You don't have to pull any dice today. You don't have to have that rush. Now you can start figuring out the bosses. Maybe you're able to hit all the bosses to the maximum, or you are somewhere in the middle, and you have those 60 dices, but you don't gonna have to use them all to get Adret. And you can save 20 dices if there is an event down the line that maybe give you that epics that you want, or then maybe there's going to be another collaboration like we had in season 1, and you can use those 20 dices to work towards that champion. So this is basically the breakdown, guys. I don't think that, considering the ranking is extremely necessary. The points are very little. It's very difficult to get ranked. On my server, it's almost impossible. They are super competitive over here, and there are already crazy scores that I can see, like over 100 millions on certain bosses. So I'm not going to be able to do that reliably, and therefore I'm going to pull 40 dices. I'm not sure if I want to do it now or if I'm going to do it in the next few days, but I'm going to think about it, and I'm going to maybe sleep on it tonight and decide if I want to do a dice pull video, because, you know, I have a YouTube channel, so maybe those video works. But for now, this is everything you need to know for this event. I hope it helped you figure out where you stand in the ranking for the event. I hope it helped you figure out a strategy for your dices and how hard you need to work for your bosses depending on where you are. If you did enjoy the video, guys, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon with another video about Dragonheir Silence God.